Good morning, students. This is Anjali, Assistant Professor of Computer Science Engineering AIML, IARE, Hyderabad. Today we are going to learn about the steps of data science. In last class, we have learned about some levels which are nominal level, ordinal level, interval level, and ratio level. In the data science, we are learning these levels for removing the data, how we have to arrange that data. In the data science, we are pre-processing our data. We can say that data is a collection of various facts which are containing some figures, some tables, some text, videos, audios. All these are data. When we are collecting the data from various sources, that data should be in the structured format. Most of the time it will be in structured format, maybe in unstructured format. It can contain noisy data. It can contain some errors. There should be some mismatched data also. That means every data is containing all type of structured, unstructured, noisy, some errors, some mismatch, misspelled, some unwanted data also. So for this purpose, we are applying the pre-processing data, and after applying this pre-processing data, we can remove the noisy data, errors, if there is a mismatched data, if we have some unwanted data, then we can easily remove it. But for these things, sometimes we are applying some operations also. We are applying some steps like data cleaning, data transformation. Then we can say data discretization. All these steps we are applying, these are pre-processing steps we are applying on our data. In nominal level, we can say that our data mostly suggests according to names. According to names. That means it will contain only characters. It will contain only characters. We can say that contain only text. But it will not contain any order. It will not contain any order. So, because of this, we can calculate only here mode. It can show that equality of the data. That means when we are talking about the nominal data, it is suggesting the names, like it shows some characters or text, but it will not show any order. We are not keeping the data in any order. Then because of this, we can find out only mode of the data, and it will show the equality of the data. In ordering level, we can say that it should show the names, it can show the characters, but that data should be in the order. Now we can say that Olympics medalist, top Olympic medalist, we can say there are top Olympic medalists, and we have to keep them in the order. The first topper, second, third, fourth, all these we are keeping in the order. That means it is showing the order of the data, and that because of this we can find out here mode of the data and median of the data. Mode of the data and median of the data. Then interval level. Here we will set the data in the interval time, in the same interval. That means we can say interval, or we can say it is the range. It is showing the range of the data. We can see there is a numbers which are showing 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. That means this is showing the difference of 3. And this interval is always same. This interval is showing the same range. So we can say it is the interval level. Even it is showing no true value. No true value. For example, when we are talking about the temperature, if it is the 0, that means we can't say there is nothing. We have to say it is very hot, or we can say it is very cool. Otherwise, we can say there is a 0 degree temperature, and we can say 100 degrees temperature. That means we have to say there is a something. We can't say there is nothing in values. So this is about the interval level. In interval level, always we will show some range of the data. Even we will show no true value, no 0 true value. In ratio level, there is a true value. If we have said that there is 0 students available, that means it is showing the null value. And it is showing null value means if I have said that there are no students in the class, so we will show that there is a no student available in the class. It is the 0. So we can't say there is a something. We have to say here only there is a null value. It will contain null value. See, so this is all about the level of data: nominal level, ordinal level, interval level, and ratio level. Now, there are some contents. Contents are applications of data science, 5 steps of data science, some 5 steps of data science which are containing asking an interesting question, obtaining the data, exploring the data, modeling the data, and communicating and visualizing the results. Now we will see one by one. First, applications of data science. We know what is data science. Data science is, we can say, combination of statistics and mathematics. Then we can say combination of statistics, of mathematics, computer science and engineering, and business intelligence. This is data science. And we are learning today the applications of data science. First is fraud and risk detection. Over the years, financial organizations have learned how to analyze the data, how to find out the probabilities of risk, even if there are some defaults data, how to analyze that customer profiling, expenditures, and other variables. That means in the data science, by using the data science, we can find out, we can analyze the fraud and risk detection. If there is a risk available, if there is a something fraud available in the data set, then we have to recognize by using the data science. Second one is healthcare. Data science is making some possibilities like possibilities for managing and analyzing the larger data sets which is available in mostly healthcare system, and which is used for the drug development, medical image analysis, and for more things. We are using the data science in healthcare department, in healthcare system. Recently, data science approaches brought some data related to COVID pandemic, and we can find out we can help that digital contact tracing, diagnosis, some risk assessment, even resource allocation. We have to estimate the epidermal or dermatological some parameters, how to develop drugs, then social media analytics. For everything, we are using the data science in healthcare system. Third one is internet search. Every search engines, including the Google, using the data science algorithm for delivering the best result for searching the queries within the seconds. If you find out the correct result, if you have to find out some perfect result, then you are using the algorithm. That means here some search engines are available which are using the data science algorithm for finding out the best result, for giving the best result to the user. Then targeted advertisement. Generally, digital advertisements have a higher call through rate than the traditional advertisement. Obviously, we can say that nowadays digital advertisements is increasing day by day. So they are giving the best result as compared to traditional advertisement, because targeted advertising is based on mostly users' past behavior, which is with the help of data science algorithm. Then fifth one is a recommendation system. Generally, internet giants and as well as some business have some friendly made use of recommendations engines for promoting their products, which is totally based on users' previous search results and their interest. Sixth one is advanced image, speech, or character recognition. Generally, facial recognition algorithms on Facebook, then speech recognition products such as like Siri, Cortana, Alexa, and Google Lens, all are best example of data science application. Then naming. Today, games, mostly every game is using the machine learning algorithms for improving, or we can say for upgrading themselves as a players move up to higher levels. And in motion gaming, opponent mostly will be able to analyze the player's previous moves and according to shape of its game. This is happened because of only data science. Now, eighth one is augmented reality. Augmented reality promises exciting future through the data science. And a VR headset, for example, we can say uh, it contains some algorithms, data, computer knowledge for offering the best viewing experience. This is all about the applications of data science. Now, there are some steps of a data science, 5 steps of data science. First one is asking an interesting question. Second one is obtaining the data. Third one is exploring the data. Fourth one is modeling the data. And fifth one, communicating and visualizing the results. This is the diagram of steps of data science. It is showing some first frame, gate, explore, model, communicate. Obviously, when we are processing on our data, then it will go through all these steps. That means first it will frame the data. That means it will recognize the problem of the data. For this purpose, we have to focus on the goal of the data. We have to think about what is the goal of the data. What would you do if you had all the data? And even you have to think about what would you want to predict or estimate. In first step, you have to frame like this. Then second one is the gate. What gate? The data. So again you have to think how were the data sampled, how you will sample the data, which data are relevant or irrelevant. Even are there, you have to find out, is there any, or are there any privacy issues or not. Then third one, explore. You have to explore the data. Here you have to plot data. Then again you have to find out for some anomalies, and you have to find out some patterns which is available in your data. Then fourth one, model. You have to model the data. In model the data, you have to build your model, then fit the model, and again you have to check for validate the model. Then last step will be communicate the results. What did we learn? Do the results make sense? Whatever you got the result, you have to find out that result is making sense or not, and can we tell a story? On this basis, can we tell the story? All these questions answer you have to find out on the basis of this diagram. Now we will see one by one. First one, asking an interesting question. Whenever we are talking about the data, whenever we collected the data from different sources for any purpose, every time you have to think about your data. Whatever you have collected, you have to think about your questions. Which data you have collected, what type of data you have collected. Again, after collecting the data, what you have to prepare. Obviously, after collecting the data, you have to go through the pre-processing technique. After pre-processing technique, your data will be in the structured format. Your data will be in the structured format. So after getting the structured format data, you can think about the steps of the data science. You have to go through the steps of the data science, and after collected the data, first you have to arise. First, some questions should be arise for making a particular result. You have to think about the some question. What is your goal? What is your goal? Then what would you do if you have all type of data, and what would you want to predict or estimate? That means you are thinking about your data, and you are thinking about the some questions, and on that basis you will find out the some answers also. Sometimes you will get in the dilemma state, you will get the some two decisions to two type of questions. So first will be, you don't want to start in the biasing yourself even before searching for the data. Whatever you are searching all data in the structured format, and you are thinking about the, is this data is very useful for you, is this data is giving perfect result. Then that means you are thinking about your data, you're thinking about the some interesting question. This is our first step, where we have to find out some answers of the questions. Like there's even like, first you have to find out the goal of your data, you have to find out the goal of your purpose, goal of your data and goal of your research. Then again you have to find out what would you do if all type of data is available with you. If all type of data is available with you, then definitely you will pre-process and you will find out some structured data, you will find out some important data for you. Then again, on that basis, what you will predict and what you will estimate, you have to think about these things. Then second one is obtaining the data. Mostly this step is focusing on getting the data. And when you collected the data, when you are collecting data from various sources, from various locations, then that data should be structured, unstructured, or we can say sometimes it will be in the semi-structured format also. And these data mostly we are collecting from various sources. That sources should be some websites, some social media, open data, or enterprise the data. These data are merged into the some data pools and form the some basis for the following evaluation. And these data pools mostly are related the set of values where we are obtaining from a centralized database, and that data we can identify and is available for our consumption. And we have to go through the process step from importing to cleaning, or we can say for importing and cleaning to splitting and aggregating. That means we are importing our data, we are cleaning our data, splitting and aggregating also. Cleaning, that makes sure that whether your data is fit or not. And mostly for this purpose, we are using the software and we are checking that data for errors and anomalies. Next, even that data will check for valid data and reliable data. Whenever we have collected the data in this step, we have to check whether that data is a structured or unstructured format. Structured or unstructured format. If it is structured format, then you have to prepare that data. You have to convert that data in the structured format, and this data is very useful for our project, for our research purpose. Research. And some website mostly contains some useful data, but always it will not provide us useful data. Generally, web scraping is a very important method which is giving which is scrapping some websites for data, but not permitted for violating, or it will provide the some data privacy laws also. And mostly 7 to 90% of the project will follow all these steps, and will follow all these steps with the structured and unstructured data, and it will help to optimize your data and optimize this step in the data science. Now, next one is explore the data. After collected data, you have to make sure about the quality of your data. Whatever you have collected, it will show the quality of your data. You can then start the exploring of the data. Here you have to find out what you are distributing and what you are associating with your data. Visualization technique mostly assist you for understanding your data content, and whatever you will get the conclusion, you have to understand here. And first glance is that revisit your previous step. If you didn't get anything, if you didn't imagine your conclusion, then you have to again start from the first step, which is which is asking an interesting question. That means you have to think about our data, you have to think about your goal. Then after that we have to create the data. You have to frame your data, and you have to again framing the problem. Here you will most likely find valuable questions and hypotheses which will help you for scoping the data exploration. And data science project, mostly data science project, like any other project, has fixed some deadlines too, which you have to focus on your efforts. And after focusing on your efforts, you can find out, you can solve any problem. And if you will not focus on your efforts, then you will not able to solve your problem. And here in this step, in the exploring data step, is mostly we will check for the patterns, and we will trace them, and after that we will analyze them more deeply. And after exploring it, that data will be ready for modeling your data. Next one is model the data. Generally, this step involves the use of some statistical and some machine learning models. We are not only fitting or selecting the models, mostly we are implementing here mathematical validations, matrices which are quantifying the models, and it is giving the some effectiveness. In this part, you do the actual modeling of the data, and data scientists will use some training data set, some historical data set, where the outcome is known, and they can develop some predictive models. And this stage is very iterative. To fit the model, data science tune and parameters so it feeds the data as good as possible. In model the data state, we have to use some models. We have to involve some models like statistical model and machine learning model. And by using these models, we can actual modeling. We can get the actual modeling of the data. And this step is very iterative, where we are getting some parameters, we are fitting the data with those parameters which are very useful for us. Fitting means tuning it in a way that it can be used successfully with other and with the new data also. Once you have created the data, you have created the model, here you have to need to validate your data. Whatever you have collected, you have to check it. That means first you have to think about your goal, then you have to explore your data, you have to model your data. That means after collecting all these things, you have to check about the validate of your data. This will make sure that the model is accurate or not. It will generalize all things, and it will try to see how accurate it is and how much it actually tells you about the question you are trying to answer. That means all these things based on your evaluation, which may want to make some tweaks, and it can make some surety about the informative, and it can say about the evaluation, and it can implement the some possibilities also to check whether it addresses the business problems appropriately. And again, you have to revisit the first step. If some problem is occurred in this step, then again you have to start from the first step. You have to check from the first step. That means first step means asking an interesting question. Then again we have to obtain the data. You have to get the data. Then third, again you have to explore the data, and after exploring the data, you have to model your data. And after modeling, first you have to check whether whatever you got, is it correct or not. And if you are feeling it's not correct, then again you have to start from the first step of the data science. Now last step is communicate and visualize the result. Here you have to visualize your result. This is very important step of your data science. While it might seem obvious and simple, but ability to conclude your result in a digestible format is more difficult than it seems. Now we will look at some different example of cases when results were communicated poorly and when they were displayed very well. This involves that presenting your model. After all these things, you have to present your model. And after presenting, your client should be satisfied with this step. If you are presenting very properly, then your client will be satisfied with these things, and it can make some sense of the data. And if it doesn't happen like this, then obviously you have done some mistake. So you have to start again from the first step. Then you have to clear the message, and is the better your chances are seeing your model at work generating valuable insights. That means whatever you have worked till now, asking question, obtaining the data, then explore data, modeling data, all these things happening, and after that you are putting all your complex formulas on the slide deck and using the sophisticated wording for explaining it. And communication of result is not always the last step of the data science project. We can say it is the starting of the data science. It depends on mostly agreement between you and the sponsor. In some cases, you and your team will pass the developed model to those who will deploy it in a productive environment. If you are developing a predictive environment that will be used for the instance and for an e-commerce website, actually you have to stick it on server and you have to be able to generate insights and make some predictions based on new customer data. In this step, you have to conclude your results. We have followed all steps. Interesting question. Then obtaining the data, explore data, model data, and communicate and visualize the data. Here you have to communicate with the sponsor. You have to conclude your result, and you have to check here whatever you got the result, is it very useful for you? That result is related to your project or not? And if your result is not matching with your project, then you have to rethink about it and you have to re-evaluate it, reanalyze it. So if you got that result is not matching, then you have done some mistake. Your data is containing some different value, different data. So it's better to go through the steps of the data science, which is following the all rules, which is following the all structure of data very properly, and you have to conclude here your data. You have to give the presentation in front of the sponsors, so what they will approve your conclusion, approve your research. Now the next topic is explore the data. This is the process of exploring the data, and it will show the ability of the recognizing the different types of data, transforming the data types, using the codes systematically, and improve the quality of the entire set for preparing it for the modeling stage. In order to best represent and teach the art of exploration, we have to explain some data science and we have to use some programming language also. We will run this data, we will use some tricks for exploring the data. There are some basic questions which should we ask ourselves when dealing with the new data set every time. And these questions are not the beginning and end of the data science. These are some guidelines which you have to follow when you have to explore the data and when you have to obtain some data science. Now we will see that questions where we have to focus. First one is the data organized or not? When you have to explore the data, first you have to think about this question. You have to give the answer of this question. Is the data organized or not? We will check for whether or not data is presented, that data is in structured format or not, that data is in column and row format or not. That means we will check that data is in organized or not. This is the basic question which is arise in the starting of the in the starting of the processing. If your data is in the form of unorganized, then you have to transform it into the structured format of a structured format which will contain the data in the row and column. Now, second one, what does each row represent? When you have kept the data in the row and column format, then you have to check what data is containing, what data and how you are organizing the data. And this step is usually very quick and can help put some things in the perspective much more quickly. Then third one is, what does each column represent? Here we have to identify each column by the level of data, and you have to find out that data is a qualitative or quantitative. You have to categorize. Uh, you have to categorize your data, and this categorization can change some analysis progresses. But it is important to begin this step as early as possible. Next one, are there any missing data points? Again, if your data is not perfect, then definitely you have to check for missing data. If there is a missing data, if there is an error, then you have to find out it. And when this happens, we as data scientists must make decisions about how to deal with these discrepancies. That means we have to find out all errors, we have to find out unwanted data. Next one, do we need to perform any transformations on the column? It is totally depending on what level or what type of data each column is at. We might be need to perform certain type of transformation. For example, the sake of statistical modeling and machine learning, we would like each column to be numerical. Of course, when we will keep the data in the form of numeric, then the data will be transformed in structured format, and it will show the label of the columns. These are the references. First one is the site website, and second one is the book, which is the Principles of Data Science, which is authored by Sinan Ozdemir. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.